can. You cannot just go and say, I like it. It's mine now. It doesn't work that way. Well, that is what they're trying to do. And in this new world order, yeah, absolutely. When they're looking at Greenland and say, I like it. I want to take it for mine. That is a very colonized.
You have said you are.
I have never ever said we're going to go to Greenland and quote colonize it or steal it.
You're not a member of government, so you're irrelevant at that point. I'm talking about the president of the United States doing that.
You got fired from your job.
You can agitate.
Scott, if you want to engage in personal insults,
I don't, but you do.
What you lack in a legitimate point, you make up for in personal input.
I don't. You
personal
do.
Insults. The point I am making is in this new world order, we are looking at countries, whether or not they're an adversary or ally, it is being determined on what kind of deal we can get. And we cannot govern, we cannot legislate that way. We are increasingly isolated on the world stage.
No, we're not.
So if you want to engage in personal insults,
we're not isolated.
If I were you, I would reserve that for your party, who is increasingly isolated. This our position outside.
that we are dependent on so many things to come out of our biggest adversary in the world. They are the enemy, and we should not be dependent on them.
But no, they are not our enemy. They're our biggest trading partner. And if we
they've got rare earth minerals and you don't.
They're the enemy.
Joining us now is Hilary Fordwich, President and founder of Strelmark. Hilary, thank you for joining us. What a day. This is the art of the deal playing out. And just to recap, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets, I'm hereby raising the tariff charge to China by the United States of America to 125%, effective immediately. At some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realise that the days of ripping off the USA and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable. He goes on to say in his post there, conversely, and based on the fact that more than 75 countries have called representatives of the US to negotiate a solution, and these countries have not retaliated against the US, I've authorised a 90-day pause and a substantially lowered reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%, also effective immediately. Hillary, he's isolating China here. He's uniting countries that are willing to negotiate. Certainly seems like a Trump strategy and how he gets deals done. This is what Caroline Levitt had to say.
As you all know, the president just put out a statement announcing an additional tariff on China. The tariff on China will now go up to 125%. because China imprudently decided to retaliate against the United States. And as I said at the podium yesterday, when you punch at the United States of America, President Trump is going to punch back harder. In that same vein, we have had more than 75 countries from around the world reach out to President Trump and his team here at the White House to negotiate better trade deals for the American worker.
Hillary, some people are still confused by Donald Trump's moves. What's your assessment of what he's doing here?
Well, smashing to be back with you. And you were totally right when you called it the art of the deal. And I would add to that the art of the reciprocal trade deal.
Absolutely.
Yes, one of the issues around the world, and I deal with global companies. I'm in different countries, and I've just done some recent media in the UK, and it's very interesting. Let's just take the UK for an example. The first day after the tariffs were announced, they actually, across the UK media, were saying, Trump slaps 10% tariffs on the UK. What none of them were mentioning is that the UK tariffs US goods by 10%. This is a reciprocal tax. It's fair. Of course, I'm speaking as an American taxpayer, but basically is, we'll do unto you as you've done to us. For example, India had 150% tariff, Gabriella, and Trump has brought that down. And Caroline Levitt was totally right. It was 70 countries. Now it's up to about 75 countries that have reached out. Look at areas like the EU. Ursula von der Leyen, she has already capitulated. I actually found it very interesting to hear her talk about tariffs as a tax. It's the only time I've actually ever heard her concerned about taxes. But the EU has now dropped their threat of tariffs, and those tariffs now are balanced out and they have come to their senses. So I think this has been a way of rectifying what had occurred since the Second World War. Basically, the US has been the world's piggy bank. And last but not least, President Trump has said, he actually has stated, he doesn't blame foreign leaders or foreign trade leaders. He blames former US presidents and former US trade representatives who let this imbalance place, Gabriella.